The table shows her results. So 17, so her speed was 17 and 699 thousandths, and the speed, that was kilometers per hour, and the speed in miles per hour were 11. And then 26 miles per hour versus 41.834 kilometers per hour, so 41 and 834 thousandths. And then 34 miles per hour versus 54 and 706 thousandths. So it says, based on our results, which statement describes the relationship between M, the speed the car in miles per hour, and K, the speed the car in kilometers per hour? All right, so we know things about proportionality, right? So it says, so number one says the relationship is proportional because the ratio, should say ratio, of M to K is constant. So M to K, so 11 over 17.699, 26 over 41, 834, and 34 over 54.706. So let's do some dividing. So 11 divided by 17.699. So that gives me approximately 0.621. And then if I do 26 divided by 41.834, I get approximately 0.621. And then if I do 34, the last one, right? So 34 divided by 54.706, I get 0.621. Approximately 0.621 or 621 thousandths. So I would say, based on that, that the answer has to be A. B says the relationship is not proportional. Well, we just saw it was. C says the relationship is proportional because the difference, well, remember, we don't do proportionality based on the difference. And then D also says the difference. So therefore, it has to be A. Okay, any questions on that one? All right, so put that aside, and you guys are going to open your books to 7-5, which is on page 251. Okay, and this is the last lesson of this module. So you will, we will do this Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday will be your review, and Friday will be the test. Okay? Just making sure I'm not missing anybody that logged in late. All right. So once again, lesson 7-5, which is on page 251. 251. All right, so it says, apply two-step equations to find angle measures. So our objective today is to identify angle relationships and use them to write and solve equations. All right, so let's look at our vocabulary. It says two angles whose measures have a sum of 90 degrees are called complementary angles. Two angles whose measures have a sum of 180 are called supplementary. So complementary and supplementary. You previously learned that a right angle measures 90 degrees. In this lesson, you will work with pairs of angles called complementary and supplementary angles. We're going to use the diagram for parts A through H. So we're going to use this diagram right here. Okay? So it says name the right angles. Now, hopefully in 6th grade you were supposed to learn how to label an angle, but I know some of you guys had Mr. Johnson last year and you probably didn't get it taught. So when you label an angle, the angle that you are looking at is always the letter in the middle. Okay, so if I was going to name this angle, I could either label it as A, B, C, or C, B, A. Okay, so I'm going to start with A, B, C because that just sounds better, right? So A, B, C is 90 degrees, and I know that because that box tells me that. The other 90-degree angle is these two angles added together. So that would be C, B, E. So C, B, E. So a pair of complementary, remember complementary means that they add up to 90 degrees. So those angles would be this one and that one. If I add them together, it would give me 90 degrees. So C, B, D and D, B, E. So that's how you would label that. Okay? So C says, what is the measure of A, B, E? So A, B, E. So it is a straight line. And a straight line is always 180. Straight line is always 180. All right, so a pair of supplementary angles, remember supplementary is 180, so that should be easy, right? We know that ABC has to be 1 because it's a right angle. And then my other one could be CBE, right? CBE. So there's a couple of them here. So A, B, C, and then I could say C, B, E. I could do the bigger angle. So let's say I did this big angle here. So this is called an arc, just so you know. You will see that word throughout angles. So if I draw an arc, which means I am taking this angle here and this angle here and making it one big angle. So that angle would be A, B, D. So A, B, D. And then to complete that supplementary, I would need D, B, E, that little angle right there. So D, B, E, and that would complete that 180. Okay, because remember, supplementary is 180. Okay? All right, so then E says, if the measure of CBD is 5x and the measure of DBE is 40, use what you know about complementary angles to write an equation to solve for x. All right, so what I do is when I have angles like this, I actually write them so I know where they go. So CBD, CBD, that's this angle right here. Okay? They're telling me that that is 5x. And DBE, so DBE, they're telling me that this angle is 40 degrees. So 5x plus 40. And I know that if I add this angle and this angle together, it gives me 90 degrees because they are complementary angles. So now we're just back to solving like we did yesterday. Okay?
Questions, Lavelle?
Yes.
How did you get 90? Could you please solve it? I'm still confused.
Okay? So if this angle right here, if CBD, right, so that's this angle, so that's this big angle right here. This is 5x, and then this smaller angle is 40. I know that the entire angle, which is CBE, right, if I add them together, is 90 degrees.
Oh, okay.
Does it look like one of those math things we used to use in school?
You mean a protractor? Or a compass? I mean, you're kind of creating a half a circle, yeah. But we're just looking at measures right now. So now we're trying to figure out, well, what is x? So you're back to your equation, right? So I'm going to need to move 40 over here. So I'm going to subtract 40 from both sides. And so that leaves me with 5x, because this goes away, equals 50. And if you remember from yesterday, remember this is 5 times x, and the inverse of multiplication is division. So x is 10. Okay? So let's go back and read the information, right? So it says use what you know about complementary angles to write an equation to solve for x. So we know what x is. Now, even though the question doesn't ask, but if I said, okay, if x is 10, what is the degree of this angle? I could do 5 times 10, which is 50. But it didn't ask me that, so right now all they asked me for was what is x equals 10. Okay? Alright, so let's look at F. F says that ABD is 5y plus 15. So I'm going to erase this up here. That's why I wrote it in pencil, so I can re-add my stuff. Okay? So ABD. So ABD. So that is this big angle. So if I was to combine it all, that's this big angle here. So that angle is 5y plus 10. I'm sorry, plus 15. I didn't read it right. And then DBE is still 40. Okay? So that means we're using this big angle and this little angle. So if I was to add those two angles together, it forms a straight line. And what did we say a straight line equals? It's supplementary.
180 degrees.
Yep. So that's going to be my equal mark, 180. Okay? Then I'm just going to fill this in. So 5y plus 15 plus 40.
Can I see the chart again? So,
Yep.
I understand it. Thank you.
That's why I write it in there to help you guys understand this. To understand what angles we're looking at. Hey, let me know when you're ready, Samir.
Yeah, I'm ready now.
Okay. No problem. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 15 and the 40 together because they're considered like terms, remember? So this is going to give me 5y plus 55 equals 180. So I need to move 55 over here, so I'm going to subtract it. And this goes away. So I'm end up with 5y equals, so 180 minus 55 is 125. And then remember this is 5 times y, so the inverse is to divide. And then of course 5 into 125 is 2, which is 10. And then 5 into 25 is 5. So y is 25. All right, so the turn and talk says, if ABD were the only known angle measure, how could you determine the measure of the other angle in the diagram? So ABD, let's go back and look at ABD. So ABD is that big one, right? So if we knew the angle, so let's say the angle is, it's got to be obtuse. So let's say the angle is 120, right? How would we find this missing angle? Well, it forms a straight line, right? So ABE, so ABE equals 180. So if angle ABD equals 120, then we would do 180 minus 120, which would be 60. So that's how you would use these angle and what we know about complementary, supplementary to solve for these equations and the 180 straight line. Okay? All right, am I good to move to the next page?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just making sure everybody has time to write down what they're doing. Okay. I'm not seeing the rest of my lesson. It should look like that. Give me a second, guys. Huh. This this is all module 8. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to have the same. So I can set these equal to each other. So if this is 5, this is 5. If this is x, this is x. Same thing up here. If this is y, then this one is y. Okay? So vertical angles mean they equal each other. So when we solve equations, we're going to set them equal. So like the first example, we either did it equal to 90 or 180. In vertical angles, you're going to set the equations equal to each other. Okay? So let's look at these. So, name a pair of vertical angles. So FGH. So FGH is vertical to JGI. So these two are across from each other. So JGI. All right? This angle, FGJ, is vertical to HGI. Okay, so does everybody see that? So angles that are across from each other are considered vertical. And then the question says, vertical angles are or are not congruent. Well, what did we say they were? Yep, they are congruent. And that means they equal. So equal each other. That's what that means. All right, so, don't know why it did that. There we go. So now we're going to find some missing angles. So it says FGH is 6x minus 24. So FGH, that's this angle right here, is 6x minus 24. Okay? They're also telling me that the vertical angle is 96. So we need to solve for x. So remember I said we're going to set them equal to each other. And guys, I can tell you there's one just like this on the test. And my advanced kids couldn't remember to set them equal to each other. So set them equal to each other. 6x minus 24 equals 96. Okay? So I'm going to move it over here so we can solve it. All right, so I have a negative 24. What do I need to do to get rid of it?
Minus it by 20. I mean, add it.
Yep. Add it by 24. So that leaves me with 6x equals what?
$120.
Yep. Now what do I need to do?
Need to divide it by 6.
Yep. Divide by 6. So x is 20, right? 6 and the 12 is 2, and then we bring the 0 down. So it should be.
I was confused for a second. I thought you were doing 60.
No. Give me 1 second. My phone's ringing. He'll probably call back. Okay, so x equals 20. All right. So adjacent angles says the word adjacent means next to or connected to. So like this angle and this angle are what we call adjacent angles because they share a side, so they're considered to be adjacent. So an adjacent angle are two angles in the same plane with a common vertex and a common side, but no common interior points. So see how they're sharing this vertex? And they're sharing this side? These would be considered adjacent angles. I guess I'm not calling that. Okay? All right, so there are quite a few adjacent angles in here. So let's look at the two that were the easiest, right? So FGB, so FGB, and then BGJ. So those were the easy ones, the common ones. Okay? But doesn't like BGJ share a point and a side with JGI? So, yeah, so BGJ and angle JGI is one of them. There's a bunch of them in here. So I could do this angle and this angle because it's sharing a point and a side. So that would be BGF and angle FGH. So there's a lot of adjacent angles in that figure. Okay? All right, so let's look at E. So E says that FGJ, so FGJ, that's the entire angle. So the whole angle is 84. So that means the entire angle is 84. But FGB is 4x. So this tiny angle is 4x. And JGB, so once again, the tiny angle is 5x plus 3. Okay, so now we're going to solve for x. So I'm going to put 4x plus 5x plus 3. So these two angles together equal 84. All right, I'm going to rewrite it over here. So 4x plus 5x plus 3 equals 84. All right, so what do I need to get rid of first?
The 4?
Not the 4 and the 5, right? That's 4 times x and 5 times x.
Oh, the 3.
Yeah, so how do we get rid of that 3?
Minus it by 3.
Yeah. So that gives me 4x plus 5x equals 81. Can I combine these two? 4x and 5x?
Yes.
Yep. What do I get?
You get 9x.
Yep. And then how do I...
Now divided by 9.
Yep. Good job, Samir. And so x is... How many times does 9 go into 81?
Oh, 9.
Yep. So x is 9. Okay, and that's all it asked me for is what is the solve for x. All right, so it says explain why FGJ and FGB are not adjacent. So let's go back up. FGJ. All right, so FGJ is the big angle, right? But FGB is the small angle. So they're not adjacent because one angle is within the larger angle. So FGB is within the larger angle. Okay? Alright, and then the Turn and Talk says, explain why FGB does not have a vertical angle in the figure. So that's that small angle, right? Well, because there's not a line that crosses HGI, it doesn't have a vertical. So the smaller angle doesn't have a vertical, but the larger angle does. And so we're going to say, because so they do not, FGB does not have a smaller angle on angle HGI. Okay? All right, so moving on to the last one. We are running out of time. Okay, so what is the sum of measures AOD and DOB? So once again, AOD is 3x plus 15. So AOD is 3x plus 15. Okay, and so it says what is the sum of the measure? So AOD and DOB. So this angle and this angle. So what do those two angles form? If I turn it this way, what is it? Yeah, straight line. And what does a straight line equal?
180.
Yes, thank you, Samir. You're rocking and rolling today. All right. So now it says, what if DOB is 2x plus 15? So now we're going to solve for x, right? So 3x plus 15, 2x plus 15, and because they form a straight line, we know it's 180 degrees. All right, so before I move anything across here, I can combine some things here, right? So what can I combine?
3x and 2x.
Yep, and what does that give me?
5.
Yep, 5x. And then what else can I add?
You can add 15, make 30.
Yep, equals 180. All right, so what do I do?
We're going to minus 30.
Yeah. So I get 5x equals 150, right? All right, now what?
Yeah. You want to divide it by 5.
Yes. So x is what? So 5 into 15 is 3, and then bring down the 0. So x is 30. So now they want you to take that 30 and you're going to substitute it back in. So AOD, AOD. So this equation right here. So 3 times 30 plus 15. So 3 times 30 is 90. Yep, so then 90 plus 15, 105, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the measure of AOD is 105 degrees. Okay, so that's those type of problems where they ask you to solve and then you got to substitute it back in to tell me what the angle is. Alright, so what angles or what angle makes vertical angles with AOD? So this is AOD. So across. Which one would be across? C?
COB.
Yep, COB. So COB. And M just means measure or angle. Okay? So COB. So if this is 105, what is COB?
It is also 105?
Correct. It is also 105 because it is vertical. All right, so now we're going to look at adjacent. So what is adjacent to AOD? So AOD, and there's two of them. So DOB, DOB, and then the other one would be AOC. All right? So if we know that this is 105, we can do 180 minus 105 on both of them, right? And then that gives me, whoop, definitely not that. What'd you get? 75, yep. So 75 degrees. Okay? All right, so that puts us to the check understanding, and we have about 4 minutes. So I want you guys to start on the check understanding. All right, and we will check it on tomorrow. So let me write a note. Check tomorrow, 1:13. Okay, so go ahead and start and see what you can get done on it. Jakira, what does that mean? The chat is messing up. The chat or the video is messing up?